This film is set in the 1970s in a village called Guncheon Village, a village whose people rely on the sea to earn a living. A sailing ship was carrying 6 female divers. The wise ship captain prayed first before the divers plunged into the ocean. The female divers, or what are called hanyeyo, collect shells in their respective baskets until they are full. Once finished, the baskets will be pulled onto the ship. The person in charge of towing is called jangdori, but his work is a bit careless, often dropping items that should be towed onto the ship. After they finished sailing and they arrived home, the divers opened the shells they got. After the shells they got had been sorted one by one, they were very disappointed because the shells were all rotten. They believe that the rotting shellfish in the sea is caused by a factory that was built recently. The factory was built too close to the water. The divers were so annoyed that they wanted to just burn down the factory. That evening the captain went out for a drink and then spoke to a man with a mustache. Talked about how hard it is to find work these days. The man with the mustache then offered him a diving job that could earn him a lot of money. Hearing the offer, of course, the captain agreed. This offer could be a solution amidst the difficulties in finding work recently. Long story short, the captain returned to take the crew to sail according to instructions from Mr. Mustache. Among the crew members who took part, 2 friends dived with them at that time, namely Jin-suk and Chun-ya. They are ready to sail and carry out missions. According to instructions, the 6 of them dived back to the bottom of the waters. This time they no longer collected shells. Their task this time was to bring the boxes at the bottom of the ocean onto the ship. They just carry out instructions without knowing what is in the box. Seeing all the boxes totaling 16 boxes, the man laughed and was very happy. The man with the mustache was satisfied that they had completed the mission. As the days passed, the captain and his crew continued to work together with the man with the mustache. Their work continues every day, sometimes even having to do the work at night to avoid customs checks. The crew knew that the boxes were contraband, so they received large fees for their services. Receiving a lot of money, they enjoyed it together. They even took a photo together to immortalize it. They enjoyed the moment. For them, this job was better than just looking for shellfish with results that were not commensurate with the risks they took. But the captain began to think that all this would be discovered by the tax officers, so he decided to quit his job. Not wanting to lose his collaboration partner, the mustache man finally met Jin-suk and Chun-ya, asked the 2 of them to seduce the captain into working again one last time. The mustache man told him this mission was very important. This time they will smuggle gold bars. Jin-suk and Chun-ya were initially confused about how to persuade the captain. Jin-suk said the captain was a bit stubborn. I know my own father's character very well, so Chun-ya took the initiative to talk to the captain. Chun-ya also warned Jang-dori, who also knew the truth of their mission this time, not to reveal this secret to anyone, that they would dive to retrieve the box containing gold. Long story short, after being persuaded by Chun-ya, the captain agreed to do this job for the last time. Returned with 6 female divers, Jang-dori, also a son. Among the boxes that they had to pull up, it turned out that there was one box that had its package open until the moment the box was pulled up onto the Jang-dori that was careless and accidentally spilled. The contents of the box, which were gold bars, were also seen scattered. Chun-ya rushes back in to pick up the gold that fell to the bottom of the sea. The captain was not told what was actually in the box and was devastated to see that the box they lifted contained a large number of gold pieces. The unexpected thing that happened was that the tax police suddenly came to carry out a secret inspection. The people on the ship panicked. They didn't want to be caught by the tax officers, so they rushed to throw the boxes back to the bottom of the sea so that no evidence would be found. But unfortunately, the ship's anchor got stuck in the rocks. Now they had to work hard. They pulled the anchor together, but unfortunately, the captain's son fell into the ocean. The captain, who saw it, immediately tried to save his son who couldn't swim, but unfortunately, when I was about to swim back to the ship, my foot got caught in the net and the net was pulled by the ship's engine. This caused the captain and his son to die at the same time. Jin-suk cried and screamed hysterically because he had to see the death of his father and brother. Chun-ya tried to calm him down, and then the tax officers arrived at their ship. Everyone was arrested except Chun-ya, who managed to escape. The 5 female divers were finally imprisoned for 6 months. Now rumors are circulating in Guncheon Village that Chun-ya betrayed them. Rumors spread quickly and said that Chun-ya did this to get a lot of money to escape to Seoul. Fact to Chun-ya came to Guncheon Village when she was still in her teens. Jin-suk's family received Chun-ya's arrival very well. Jin-suk's family treats Chun-ya very well, like their own family. Chun-ya and Jin-suk are like sisters. It's only natural that Jin-suk is devastated by this incident. 3 years later, the scene shifted to Seoul. There Chun-ya is still running a dirty business, but this time he was smuggling luxury clothes to resell. The business that Chun-ya is running this time is bringing in a lot of money, but there is another party who feels disadvantaged, namely Mr. Kwon. Mr. Kwon is a black businessman who once fought in Vietnam. The war even caused the loss of one of his men's eyes, kidnapped Chun-ya and tied him up because he was upset because Chun-ya had taken my subscription. Mr. Kwon is also known as a cruel person, but Chun-ya, with her clever brain, manages to persuade him not to kill. Chun-ya said that the reason Mr. Kwon's business was disrupted was not you but rather that the Busan port could no longer be used as a place for smuggling goods because the police were on strict guard every day. Because of this, Chun-ya proposed an idea, namely a place where foreign goods could be freely smuggled without worrying about being caught by the police. That place is none other than Guncheon Village. In Guncheon Village, the tax officials were in control of Guncheon Village, but they were nothing more than officials who liked taking bribes. So this shouldn't be a significant obstacle for Mr. Kwon to run his business. So much time passed, and 5 divers turned out to be women who were still working as divers. They took things in the ocean, but they got paid a little less than the risk they took. It turns out that Jin-suk and their friends work for Jang Dory, who took over leadership after the captain died. Jin-suk was forced to sell his father's ship to Jang Dory because he needed money. Jang Do-rai treated the female divers carelessly. Meanwhile, Chun-ya, who has arrived in Guncheon, secretly sees Jin-suk from a distance but is reluctant to meet her. The first person you met in Guncheon Village was Yu-fen. The woman was a tea shop owner. Then in the evening, met Jang Dory. After enough pleasantries, Chun-ya invited Jang Dory to work together to smuggle Mr. Kwon's goods. Hearing the offer, Jang Dory agreed. The next morning, the news of Chun-ya's arrival had spread. Jin-suk, who heard the news of Chun-ya's arrival, immediately went to meet her and immediately slapped her. Chun-ya and Jin-suk were seen showing off their emotions to each other until they were finally separated by the people there. After some time, Mr. Kwon finally came to Guncheon Village and started his business with Jang Dory and of course with the help of Chun-ya. But there Chun-ya put forward the condition that he would use a female diver to retrieve the smuggled goods and Mr. Kwon had to pay the appropriate rate. After saying that, Chun-ya then went straight to Jin-suk. The dispute between them has not yet been resolved because Jin-suk still believes that Chun was the one who betrayed me. Chun-ya said that at that time he was forced to run away because when he was a teenager he had a case where he killed someone in self-defense. Chun-ya was forced to run away because if he was caught, I was afraid that the past case would be discovered and he would be jailed for life. One day, one of Jin-suk's friends, who was a diving member, had an accident. Her leg was bitten by a shark. He was forced to swim into the sea, which was dangerous because there were sharks. All of this was done solely to support his children. Jin-suk was devastated by this incident. Her friend had to risk her life to earn a living, and now she even has to think about the costs of leg surgery. Seeing her friend's difficult situation, Jin-suk gave up and came to Chun-ya and was willing to work together. Chun-ya promised Jin-suk that I would make female divers earn more than before. Chairman Lee from a distance is secretly monitoring the Kunya and is also targeting Mr. Kwon as a smuggling mafia. The next day, Mr. Lee came to Yu-fen's tea shop to carry out an operation to threaten Yu-fen with prison for possessing illegal goods. Yu-fen was forced to tell Mr. Lee the plan for a ship that would leave at noon to pick up Mr. Kwon's smuggled goods. Without having to wait long, Mr. Lee immediately mobilized his men to carry out the secret operation to arrest them all. When Mr. Lee confidently searched the contents of the diver's cargo, all they found were piles of shells. They were confused and didn't realize that they had fallen into Chun-ya's trap, because the actual mission to lift the smuggled goods will be carried out at night. All of this was planned by Chun-ya. The first thing Chun-ya knew was that he was being watched by Chairman Lee. The second had asked Yu-fen in their previous meeting to pretend to give Chairman Lee false information, and the third had worked together with Jin-suk to deploy the team at night. This secret is only known by the three of them. Chun-ya assures Jin-suk that this time he won't run away again. After the mission to lift goods from the sea was successful, Chun-ya handed over a special suitcase belonging to Mr. Kwon which had a scarf marked on it. The contents of the suitcase were valuables in the form of diamonds, dollars, and gold bars. As a reward for successfully carrying out Mr. Kwon's mission, Chun-ya was given a blue gem necklace. The necklace is also an official sign of cooperation between Mr. Kwon and Chun-ya. Mr. Kwon said that from now on he would rely on Chun-ya in goods smuggling missions. Chun-ya then meets Jin-suk and her friends, kept her promise and gave large payments to those friends. They spent the night celebrating and drinking together. One time Mr. Kwon showed Chun-ya a photo. Chun-ya was very surprised to see the photo in her hand. In the photo, Jang Dory is seen conspiring with the allies. Chun-ya looked very shocked and didn't expect what she saw. Mr. Kwon knows that Jang Dory betrayed me. Jang Dory plans to raid the upcoming smuggling. I've been cooperating with the taxman, so Mr. Kwon plans to kill to prevent trouble. After the conversation, Chun-ya immediately rushed to meet Jin-suk and gave him a photo which showed that Jang Dory was a traitor. At that time I was the one who reported to Chairman Lee about the location where the captain and the crew were going to smuggle goods. Jin-suk was devastated by that fact. What was even more surprising was that it turned out that Jang Dory had also killed the man with the mustache. After that, Chun-ya, Jin-suk, and Youn secretly entered the police station looking for files about Jang Dory. After investigation, it turned out that Jang Dory originally had the name Jangman-si. Another fact they obtained was that Jang Dory and Chairman Lee were brothers. Jin-suk, who found out, immediately apologized to Chun-ya many times. The misunderstandings about the past between them have now disappeared. Chun-ya was very hurt because Jin-suk didn't believe her at that time, but now chooses to rise to avenge Jang Dory and Chairman Lee. Chun-ya had a different plan from Mr. Kwon. If Mr. Kwon planned to kill Jang Dory, they planned to divide the two brothers. Mr. Kwon gives Chun-ya a map showing the next dive location. This time the item they will smuggle is a diamond worth 300 million won. Mr. Kwon plans to finish off Jang Dory before the ship carrying goods arrives. Chun-ya looked a little objected. Chun-ya said the location that Mr. Kwon showed was the open sea where there were sharks. Recently there have even been divers who have become victims of shark bites there. Meanwhile, the Youn tea shop received violence from except for providing false information. And unexpectedly, Jang Dory brought many of her men to kill Toon Kwon. Jang Dory felt insulted because Mr. Kwon had been condescending. Mr. Kwon's men, namely the one-eyed man, went first, facing so many of Jang Dory's men alone. Unfortunately, after that, the door to Toon Kwon's hotel room was successfully broken into by Jang Dory's men. Mr. Kwon used all his fighting skills to survive, but unfortunately, my men had to become victims. Toon Kwon managed to take Chun-ya and hide her in the toilet and entrusted Chun-ya with the map, after which Chun-ya was left alone. Toon Kwon will face Jang Dory and his men. After a fierce fight, Jang Dory was stabbed by Mr. Kwon's knife but cheated because he was wearing body armor. Meanwhile, in the bathroom, Chun-ya could only wait anxiously to see who would come to open the door. However, it was a shame because it was Jang Dory who came and was ready to finish her off. Just as Jang Dory was about to kill Chun-ya, he immediately shouted that there were diamonds worth 300 million won in the ocean. Hearing that, Jang Dory felt interested, finally took Chun-ya away but left Mr. Kwon who was covered in blood just like that. Returning to Youn and Mr. Lee, Youn said that Jang Dory was the one who told him to lie. Then Jin-suk came, confirmed Youn's words, even provoked Mr. Lee, and made Mr. Lee believe that Jang Dory wanted to control diamonds worth 300 million won alone. Jin-suk's plan turned out to be successful. Chairman Lee began to distrust the man, then called the local prosecutor to arrest the criminals in the Jang Dory gang. Of course, the prosecutor had been bribed first by Mr. Lee with a Rolex watch. In short, all of Jang Dory's men were arrested. Chairman Lee then entered and targeted Jang Dory's safe. Chun-ya's plan also succeeded in dividing the two of them, especially since the contents of the safe had already been taken by Youn. Chairman Lee, who was instigated, slapped hard in front of everyone, and his eyes darkened and he didn't listen to Jang Dory's explanation at all. The next day Chairman Lee took the 5 female divers sailing. Mr. Lee threatened them with a rifle in hand. Jang Dory was also made the captain of the ship. It seems that Jang Dory and Chairman Lee have succeeded in resolving the misunderstanding between them. Chairman Lee forced the female divers to throw away their knives to cut the rope and told them to throw them all into the ocean. This time their dive was at greater risk because if they were not as lucky, they would be attacked by sharks. When the female divers try to resist diving, Chairman Lee fires a gun into the sky. This can make divers afraid. Chun-ya, who had a rifle pointed at him right in front, started the dive first. Then my 4 friends followed. After that, Chairman Lee ordered Jang Dory's men to join in diving into the ocean. Their task was to see whether the suitcase worth 300 million won was recovered. If the suitcase worth 300 million won was recovered, they were ordered to kill the female divers in the water. For the sake of 300 million won, Mr. Lee's efforts were not half-hearted. Chairman Lee even ordered Jang Dory to finish off my men. At the bottom of the sea, the female diver then tried to use a shell to break the suitcase rope, but before the rope broke they were already chased by the men. This is where fellow female divers work together and help each other. Thanks to this collaboration, one man drowned. The second man tried to chase the diving woman but was tricked and taken between the rocks where she was trapped. So all you have to do is open the oxygen cylinder and the man is certain to be dead. It was the third man's turn to be attacked by 4 women at once. In the end, Chun-ya managed to find the diamond suitcase that Mr. Kwon was referring to. But who would have thought that a man would come to me with a knife in hand? Chun-ya then held the knife using a suitcase and swiftly Chun-ya then took an octopus to cover the man's face after slicing the man's wrist. Jin-suk comes to help Chun-ya climb to the surface of the water to take a breath. The man who was fighting with the female divers was eaten by the shark that came. Jin-suk managed to get the suitcase and the female divers also began to rise to the surface. But their struggle was not over because Chairman Lee from the ship shot at them all. Youn, who couldn't see her friend being shot at, even though he couldn't swim, was determined to jump in with Chairman Lee. An unexpected thing happened again, then Jang Dory appeared and scratched Jin-suk's leg. The diamond suitcase was also successfully retrieved. They all decided to return to the ship because the shark had been targeting them all along. Youn looked still unconscious and suddenly Jang Dory appeared, pointing a gun and telling the diving women to go back down into the ocean. Whether they wanted it or not, they would be forced to dive again. After everyone was gone, Jang Dory opened the contents of the suitcase, and inside it was a bag of shining diamonds. Jang Dory was very happy and satisfied with what he got. Didn't think that the female divers were planning something. On the other hand, the 5 female divers were planning something. They stuck the ship's anchor on the rocks, after which they climbed back onto the ship. Then Jin-suk came holding a rifle and then the anchor rope suddenly broke and made the Jang Dory fall into the ocean. The gun was then thrown away by Chun-ya, after which he bandaged Jin-suk's injured leg and Chun-ya told Jong-suk to take over and control the ship. Now I'm the captain. At the same time Youn finally wakes up. While Jang Dory's fate was of course being eaten by a shark, the suitcase was then opened. They are all amazed to see the diamonds inside. It looks like Chun-ya and Jin-suk's friendship has returned. Now Chun-ya approaches Jin-suk and puts her arm around her shoulder. And the final scene, Mr. Kwon is still safe. Chun-ya visits and puts a diamond in the spoon.